it's Tina and I am back, and I have a long, when I say long, I mean long overdue video for you guys featuring the Juvia's Place shade sticks. And I've had these in my collection for months at this point. I got them right before they released the entire collection, and I've been testing them out. I even did the demonstration part of this video months ago, but I just couldn't find the right time to do this video, and now is the right time. So today I'm gonna go ahead and share my thoughts on the Juvia's Place shade sticks. They did send me these in PR, so I received not all the shades but quite a few of the shades. So we're gonna go through swatches of these. We're gonna show you my shade match, and we're also gonna do a demonstration. So let's just go ahead and jump into the swatches to start this video out. And there are 30 shades of these shade sticks available. They're multi-purpose shade sticks, so you can use them for foundation, contour, highlighting, concealer, the works. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into the swatches of the shades that I have, and they're broken down into light, medium, tan, and deep shades. So I have the majority of the tan and deep shades. I also have some of the medium shades and a couple of the darker, deeper shades, but I don't have the full collection. But these shades will give you an idea of a shade that may be suitable for you. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. The first shade up is Tunisia, and it is the second to deepest shade, and it is recommended for the deepest, darkest skin with neutral undertone. This is a deep chocolatey brown shade, and for me, it actually has a little touch of a golden undertone. So even though it's a neutral shade, it still has a little bit of that yellow caramel warmth to it. Then we have the shade Sokoto. This is recommended for deep dark skin with warm undertone. This shade is a chocolate brown with more of a red or pink undertone, so it leans a lot more warm on the skin than the neutral shade that you can see from Tunisia. You can definitely see that these shades have different undertones. Then we have the shade Namibia. This is recommended for dark skin with neutral undertone. This one is a dark brown with a caramelly undertone. For me, this is more golden than neutral, but I can see this working for various skin tones that lean a little bit more neutral or olive. Then we have the shade Cameroon. This is recommended for dark skin with golden undertone. Now this one is definitely more of a golden undertone. It also has a little hint of an olive undertone for me, if you can see it against my skin. Next to Namibia looks like it has a little bit more peach in it than Cameroon, but here are the 4 darkest shades that I have in my collection. Now for me, I would use Tunisia as a contour shade or like a bronzer shade because it has that warmer golden undertone to it. Even though it says it's for neutral undertone, I just feel like it has a little bit more warmth to it, so it definitely blends in well with my skin. And then, believe it or not, Cameroon would be one of the shades that I consider a good shade match on my skin. And I will show you this blended in a little bit later so you can get a better idea of what it would look like blended out and more shared out on my skin tone. For the next set of shades, we're starting off with Abidjan. This is recommended for dark skin with warm undertone. This shade is a very warm shade, as you can see. It has a hint of red and golden undertone to it, which is very interesting, and this shade works decently as a shade match on my skin tone as well. Then we have Guinea, which is recommended for dark skin with neutral cool undertone. Neutral cool is an interesting way to describe this shade, but as you can see at the edges of the shade, it's definitely a lot more peach on my skin tone. It's not gonna be a great match because it has that orangey base to it, which looks very orange on my skin tone. Then we have Mozambique, which is for dark skin with golden undertone. This is a medium brown shade with a strong yellow golden undertone. It's a little bit too strong on my skin tone. It comes off too yellow, so I wouldn't use this as a skin match. But if you have strong yellow undertones or strong golden undertones, this might work really well for you. Then we have the shade Jacmel. This is for dark skin with a cool olive undertone. This shade is another one that I would use for a shade match because it has that more olivey undertone. it definitely leans more on the beige neutral side than it does on the warm or cool side. So definitely a shade that I'm gonna blend out so you can see it on my skin tone. So here again are all 4 shades, and I will also show them swatched on my cheeks up close and from a distance so you can get an idea of what this would look like if it was applied to my face. And I will also blend out the closest match that I have in this shade collection. Starting out this set of shades, we have Addis Ababa. This is recommended for tan skin with a warm undertone. This shade is a medium tan shade with more of a peachy undertone. It's another one that I think is a close match for my skin, but it is a peachy shade, so it can come off a little bit orange on my skin tone. Then we have the shade Madagascar. This is recommended for tan skin with a cool golden undertone. This one is more on the yellow golden peachy side, so it wouldn't necessarily work for my skin tone, but if you had more yellow undertones and you were a medium tan, this might be a good shade match for you. Then we have the shade Mauritania. This is for tan skin with a neutral golden undertone. This one again is more yellow golden based with a little bit of an olive undertone, so it's gonna lean a lot more neutral. For me, this would look a little bit too green on my skin tone, and when there's a shade with olive undertones or neutral undertones, they can come off a touch green on my skin tone because I lean more on the neutral golden side rather than the neutral olive. Then we have the shade Dominica. This is for tan skin with golden undertone. Now we're getting into lighter shades that I could possibly use as a highlight shade or a concealer rather than as an actual foundation. And this one to me has more of a beige undertone. It doesn't lean too peach or too golden, so this one is a potential for me as a highlight shade. Now let's go ahead and swatch these on my cheeks again so you can see what this looks like on my actual face. You'll see that shade Dominica is the one that I would probably use as a highlight shade just based on how it looks on my skin tone. And Addis Ababa is the one I can probably use as a skin tone match. And I'll blend that out a little bit so you can also see what that looks like if I were to use it as a foundation shade. Now let's move into some of the lighter tones for tan skin, which I would be able to possibly use as highlight shades. So first up, we have the shade Grenada. This one is for tan skin with golden warm undertone. This one is a light tan shade with more of a peachy undertone, so I wouldn't gravitate towards this one for a highlight for me because it has that peachy undertone. But if you're looking for a highlight shade that can cancel out darkness under the eyes, this may be a good one to use. This shade is Brasilia. It is for tan skin with cool olive undertone. This one is a lighter beige shade and it definitely leans a little bit more on the cool olive side. It has a little bit of a grayish undertone, which would work great on neutral undertones, but I have a warmer skin tone, so this is just going to show up a little bit too gray. Moving into the medium shades, this is Marrakesh. It's for medium skin with a neutral warm undertone. This one is more of a peachy undertone, so it doesn't really lean pink against my skin tone, so it would be great for those with medium skin with more of that peachy undertone to their skin. And then we have Belize, which is for medium skin with neutral undertone. Now this one definitely looks more neutral next to Marrakesh. Marrakesh, you can see the strong peach undertone now. This one is more of an olivey undertone. So here you have those 4 shades. We have warmer undertones, a peachy undertone, and more neutral undertones. And I will show you these swatched on my face as well. These I would not consider suitable for my skin tone. These are not shades I would use as a highlight because they are just a little bit too light and the undertones just don't quite sync up with my skin. Now here are the final 3 shades that I have in my lineup. These are for medium skin tone. So the first shade up is Panama. This is for medium skin with a golden undertone. This one is a medium beige shade. It has more of a strong peach undertone to me than a yellow golden undertone. Then we have the shade Manila. This is for medium skin with olive undertone. This is a beige shade. As you can see, it's definitely more on the neutral side, so it has more of that light beige tone rather than that peachy tone from Panama. And then last up we have the shade Nepal, which is for medium skin with golden undertone. Nepal is definitely a lighter tone. I don't see strong golden undertones at all either. It's just more on the beige side. So here are those final 3 light shades. Now keep in mind, I only swatched a selection of shades from the deepest dark shades to the dark shades, the tan shades, and the medium tones, but I haven't touched on any of the shades that are available for light skin because it just wouldn't make sense for me to have those in my collection. And I also don't have the full range of the deepest, darkest shades because I fall more in the dark and tan skin tone range. So those are the shades that would be better match for my skin tone and complexion. And I'll show you them swatched on my cheeks again. These are not shades that I would use for my personal collection as highlighters because they're just way too light on my skin tones. These are not shades that I would gravitate towards, but if you have a medium skin, here are the options for the 3 light shades that I have in my collection. So let's go ahead and swatch the 3 shades that I think are closest to my skin tone so you can get a better idea of what they look like blended out on my skin in case you use me as a shade match. So let's start out with Cameroon. Now Cameroon looks very dark on my skin and it is recommended for dark skin with golden undertone. As I blend this in, you will see that it shears out and doesn't look as deep, but I have to be very careful if I don't have a tan that this will appear a little bit deeper and darker on my skin tone. But you can see that this blends out really nicely compared to the other side of my face. You can see that this is a decent shade match. It's just a little bit more on the tan side, so I do have to make sure that I have a pretty decent tan if I'm gonna use this as a shade match. Now let's go ahead and try the shade Jacmel. This one is recommended for dark skin with a cool olive undertone, and when I blend this in, it looks perfect on my skin. So right now, since my summer tan is fading, Cameroon is not necessarily the best shade for me, but Jacmel is perfect. Look at how that just blends into my skin. So again, it's for a cool olive undertone, and I consider myself to be more of a neutral olive undertone for most foundation shades because golden undertones just get a little bit too yellow, a little bit too warm, and this is perfect, as you can see. So if you use me as a shade match, then I would go with Jacmel as my recommendation because it just looks absolutely beautiful on my skin. Now let's go in with the shade Addis Ababa. This is for tan skin with a warm undertone. So this has a little bit more peach to it, and blended into my skin, you'll see it turns a little bit more orange, but I wanted to show you this shade in case you're kind of my skin tone, but you just lean a little bit more peachy or a little bit more orange. This is not a bad shade either. Blends in really great with my skin, but throughout the day as my skin warms up, it can come off a little bit too orange, a little bit too peach, but it's still a pretty good shade match. I've gone ahead and just completed my entire face with Addis Ababa because it was just the final shade that I swatched on my skin. It's a great skin match, but it does have more of that peachy undertone, and as I apply powders and set my skin down and my skin warms up throughout the day, it does veer more on the orangey peachy side. So I would stick more with Jacmel, but for the purpose of this demonstration, this shade still works really well. So now I'm going to show you the two shades that I would consider good highlight shades and concealer shades for me. So this is not typically what I would do for my under eyes. I would actually just go in with the I Am Magic concealer because I prefer a liquid concealer under my eyes, and I prefer a concealer that is my skin tone. So for me, I just apply a little bit more Jacmel under my eyes just to give me coverage. But we're gonna do the highlighting, brightening effect with these two shades. So I have Manila and we have Panama. So Panama is the deeper of the two shades, and it is for medium skin with a golden undertone. Manila is for medium skin with a olive undertone. So we're gonna apply them on each side of my face, under my eyes, because that's what people do, right? We create like a little V. You can tell a little bit of a difference from these two swatches on my skin. This side is more golden. This one is a little bit more on the cool peachy side. I will go ahead and zoom you in so you can see those shades, and I'll blend them out with just a buffer brush. These shades blend out and move pretty easily across the skin, so it will not take much effort to get them blended in. You can see there, that's the shade Panama, which is the deeper one with the golden undertone. And here we have Manila, which has more of that olivey neutral undertone. Again, blends out and moves pretty easily on the skin, but this is also a lighter shade, so Panama would probably be the shade I would go for a highlight. Unless I'm going for intense highlight, then I would go with Manila, which you can tell is definitely more brightening. It's definitely more of an intense color on my skin, and I'll just buff around the edges so it blends in with the foundation a little bit better. Again, on my skin tone, Manila, Panama, I would go with Panama for a highlight. It works a little bit better as a concealer shade on my skin tone, and you can see from a distance, very bright with Manila and just a natural look on my skin with Panama. Depending on the look you prefer, you might want to go with the bolder, brighter under eye. I prefer more of a natural finish to my skin. And now let's do the contour, which I would use Tunisia. And I like this shade because it has more of a warm look on my skin. I'll apply just a little. That looks like a lot actually, but we're gonna go with it. And I will blend out the contour on my cheekbones. Do you see how that just moves and blends easily into the skin? I love that about these sticks. They don't drag, they're not drying. They just blend in and give a creamy look on the skin. They don't look like they're separate. They don't look powdery or dry. There's just a beautiful finish to these sticks, especially if you're using them for contour and highlight. You want them to blend easily with your skin. And I'm just gonna show you the shade blended in at first. I'm not gonna set anything with powder. I'm just gonna leave it with this finish so you can see the actual finish of the product on my skin without powder or any other makeup. Now you can see that I have more of a bronzy effect on my hairline. That definitely looks a little bit deep, and the contour can look a little bit deep. So I'm gonna go in with a clean brush, a bigger brush, and just buff a little bit more just to create more of a faded effect. And you'll see that it moves the product, blends it out, no issues, and you have time to work with these before they actually set down. So this is how I would wear this on this side, with the highlight, the foundation shade, and then the contour. I think that looks very beautiful. Great shade matches. I think I still get a little highlight under the eye. The skin match is great, and then the contour shade gives me a little bit of like this bronzy tan look without being on the cool side. It doesn't look too gray. It just gives me a nice sculpted look. And then on this side, it's a little bit bolder under the eyes, which is not what I would prefer. I would prefer a more subtle eye, but this can give you a more exaggerated look. So you see under the eyes, you see the contour. I think overall, this still looks great on the skin. And I can tone down, if I went a little bit too bright on the eyes, I can just blend it out and tone down everything a little bit with my other face products, the powders and all that. So here, again, you have a close-up of the skin. I think the contour just blends in beautifully. It looks very natural. It's seamless on my skin. The foundation itself is seamless on my skin. And I think just going straight in with the color on the skin rather than using a moisturizer if you have oily skin is the best application, because it allows the moisture from the product itself to add the hydration to your skin rather than going in with a separate hydration source and making it look very greasy. This way it just looks very skin-like, very natural. I like the finish. It's not sinking into my pores more than any other foundation. It just looks like my skin, but with a little bit more even tone, a little bit more coverage, nothing dry, nothing crepey. It just looks like skin with a little bit of added attention. Alright guys, so now that you have seen the swatches and the demonstration, let's go ahead and jump into my thoughts of these shade sticks. So these retail for $16 and they're available through the Juvia's Place website and also Ulta.com. You can use coupon codes on both websites. So Ulta will give you that $3.50 of $15 purchase coupon, as well as their 20% off coupons. That will work on Juvia's Place products. And Juvia's Place also has affiliate codes. I have one, the Fancy Face, where you can get a discount off your purchase, and they're always having sales over there, so you can definitely get this at a much cheaper price. At the time that I'm recording this video, they're actually on sale for $12 on both websites, so just keep your eye out for a sale or a coupon code to get it at a cheaper price than that $16 price point, even though I think that $16 price point is still a great price point for this product. But if you can get it cheaper, why wouldn't you, right? Now this product is called the Shade Stick, and it's a multi-purpose foundation stick, and it only contains 0.34 ounce, which is typical for a stick type foundation product. They typically have a third of the product of a full liquid foundation, which is 1 fluid ounce. These, because of the formulation and because of the application method, are gonna have less product by weight. Remember, you're comparing a liquid foundation to a solid cream foundation, so that amount of product shouldn't necessarily surprise you. Just know that the sizing will be less than a liquid foundation because these are cream type products, and this sizing is actually pretty standard for cream foundation sticks. The packaging is beautiful. It's really cute. The box itself is gorgeous. They have this beautiful coral shade with this beautiful cerulean blue top. It's so gorgeous, and they have the signature Empress Queen artwork on the boxes as well, and you have all the ingredient information and the sizing details on the boxes. And this product is actually made in the USA versus their eyeshadow palettes that are made in the PRC, or People's Republic of China. And on the box it has the open jar symbol indicating 24 months of usage life. It also says it is cruelty free. The foundation tube itself is the same bright coral with the Juvia's Place logo, and on the bottom you have the label with the shade name and the manufacturing information, as well as the sizing information and the open jar symbol with the 24 months. It's a very simple classic design. It's a hard plastic with a removable cap, and it twists up to reveal the product. So you apply this either directly to your skin, or you can apply it to a brush and then apply it to your skin. The application method is up to you. And it says you can blend it out with a sponge or a brush. My preferred method is a brush, but that's just my method. These still move pretty easily with a sponge. I already mentioned that you can purchase these on the Juvia's Place website as well as Ulta.com, but these are also available in select Ulta stores. So if your store carries Juvia's Place products, you can find these shades in your store, and that way you can do your shade matching, because there are 30 shades available and they have various undertones. And for me, I found the shade matching a little bit tricky. So you kind of have to swatch a group of shades to see which ones would suit you the best. And if you're gonna pick shades for your foundation, highlight, concealer, contour, bronzing, all of that, then you're gonna need to definitely do a little bit of shade matching. And hopefully this video was helpful for you guys to determine shades that you might be interested in testing out. All right, let's go ahead now and jump into the nitty gritty, which happens to be the product and the performance. So this is a cream product. It's a twist up cream foundation stick. It can be used for highlight, it can be used for contour, it can be used for concealer and bronzing. And with all that being said, I have to be very upfront with you guys and let you know I don't like this as a foundation on my skin. I have oily skin, my skin gets very greasy, and I find this foundation, this formulation is very emollient, and it can kind of settle into my pores and lines as I get oilier throughout the day. Now, that's not unusual for me. I get oily no matter what, okay? That's just the nature of my skin. But with certain foundations, I get oily, but I can blot and it will look fine. And I can powder and set everything in place and we're good to go. However, with this foundation, I feel like it kind of breaks down a little bit. It settles into lines and it's not the most flattering on my skin when I get to that 5-hour mark. That's when it really starts looking a little bit crepey on my skin, especially if I applied a moisturizer before. So what I've done, if I want to use this as a lightweight foundation, because it's really good for that, because it blends really quickly, it's easy to just slap on and go. It's a great like run out the door kind of foundation. I will not wear a moisturizer. I have oily skin, I will not wear a moisturizer. And if you look at the ingredients, I can see why it doesn't pair well with a moisturizer on my oily skin, because it has dimethicone, it has beeswax, it also has shea butter in here, and that to me is just gonna cause it to slip around on my skin. It's perfect for application, it looks beautiful, it glides on, it blends, it's buttery, it just blends effortlessly on the skin. However, over time on oily skin, that's not the best formulation. So if I'm just running to the store and I just want something to kind of even out my skin, this is an easy foundation for me to just grab and buff a little bit. What I'll do is just buff it on hyperpigmentation and the high points of my cheeks, a little bit under my eyes, and I'll go. And that's an easy way to wear it. So I have found myself doing that with this foundation. However, if I'm gonna be out all day, if I have a long day, if it's very hot, if I have a special occasion, I'm not gonna grab this as a foundation. But what I have found myself doing is using it as a bronzer product, as a contour product, because it blends so effortlessly and it looks so seamless on the skin. So I will use it on my hairline to give me a little bronzy bronze, a little contour, and I'll even use a little bit to give me a little chiseling in the cheek area. It works beautifully for that, and it melts into any liquid foundation that I've tried it with. It hasn't had an issue blending in with those. It hasn't affected the formulation and the wear of those foundations. So I will use it in conjunction with other things rather than on its own. But I wouldn't wear it as a foundation on its own for an extended period of time. It does have its place in my collection. I do find myself reaching for it here or there when I'm just quick, just put something on and go, or if I'm using it for that bronzing purpose. So I think this foundation is something at the price point that you can check out if you're interested in a quick stick foundation. Or if you want to use it for a contour, which is what I would recommend, honestly. It's one of the best products I've used for like a cream contour, because it blends, it has the pigmentation, it looks seamless on the skin, and it works with other products really well. If you have drier skin or if you have normal skin, this might actually be one that would work for you as well. I would just be careful with mixing it with moisturizers and with primers. If you're going to use it with a primer, use it with like a pore filling primer or a mattifying primer. It will work better that way, and I've used it that way as well. If I'm just wearing it for a couple of hours, it works fine that way. But again, for oily skin, just be a little bit more careful with this. So I've given you my thoughts, I've given you the swatches. I've given you things to think about, right? And I will say it's not a bad product. It's just not ideal for my oily skin and for long-term wear, but it's a beautiful contour product. It's definitely a beautiful bronzer product. And I still think it can work pretty nicely for just a quick wash of color on the skin for a couple of hours, or if you have a drier skin type, I think it would work better on use. Have you been interested in trying this out at all? Let me know what you guys think. And hopefully this video was helpful with the swatches and with my overall thoughts, because I still wanted to get this video out even though it's very late. So hopefully it's still somewhat useful for you guys. I will leave links below on where you can pick it up at the Juvia's Place website and Ulta if you want to try it out. I will also leave links to my Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat where you can follow me along. And until my next video, which will be very soon, I hope you're staying safe. Love you. Bye.